You asked for it. Here it is. It's a podcast from Apathetic Enthusiasm.
Coming to you live from the mini break between Season 5, Episode 8 and Episodes 9 and 10. Airing on September 5th. We know you're anxiously waiting. Guess what? We are too. Here on Interdimensional RSS, the unofficial Rick and Morty podcast.
Hello, everybody. I'm Travis.
Hello, everybody. I am Brandon, and welcome to the show where we talk about Rick and Morty. We talk about Rick and Morty things that are related to Rick and Morty, and we talk about the fans who like Rick and Morty as well. I am Brandon, your Rick and Morty curator. That is Travis, your other Rick and Morty curator. We talk about Rick and Morty, and we curate all things Rick and Morty.
Yes, if you're playing the at-home drinking game where every time Brandon says Rick and Morty, you take a drink, you are now needing to go to a hospital. So, anyway, welcome to the show.
Get your Rick and Morty branded stomach pump over at Rick and Morty hospital or Rick and Morty urgent care. You can whichever. We are so happy for you to be here today. I think we have a pretty good show for you.
I think it could be one of our best in terms of shows that we've done during a mid-season 5 break.
Yeah, 100%. This tops the charts, top of the pops
easily.
But in the meantime, before we get into that, there's a couple things we have to do. Let's get into social media. Twitter at Rick and Morty Pod. You can find us at facebook.com/Rick and Morty Podcast. Instagram at Rick and Morty Podcast. You can email us. Send us one of them emails at rickandmortypodcast@gmail.com. Over on the web, rickandmorty.reddit.com is the official subreddit of Rick and Morty. Some of us moderate, some of us don't. Neither of us actually moderate in that group. We have our own subreddit, rickandmortypodcast.reddit.com, and of course our website, rickandmortypod.com or rickandmortypodcast.com. It redirects. Trust me, we did a poll on it.
Did you test it?
I tested it. Some other folks tested it. It worked. It worked like a butte. Not a butane lighter. A butte. We are streaming live, www.twitch.tv/apathetic enthusiasm. And if you want to watch a recording of the show, you can see my strained faces as I try to make unique songs every episode, youtube.com/apathetic enthusiasm. Travis, I know this is the part that you love. You can support the show by going to a few places. TeePublic. That's where some of our shirts are. You can get there by apatheticenthusiasm.com/shop. You go to that link, and anything you get on that site, you will support us in some way, shape, or form. But you have to go to that link. If you don't, then you're just giving TeePublic money, and I mean, we don't care about them. Is that really what you want?
Is that really? Come on.
Is it really? And also Patreon. We still have our Patreon, patreon.com/apathetic enthusiasm. To all our patrons out there, we appreciate you. I went on a trip last week, so we haven't released the second episode commentary, but we plan to release that this week at the latest, Travis.
I sure hope so.
Or maybe next
hope
week.
So, Brandon. And we got a whole lot more of those to record, so you better get ready because we have to find time. Hey, the season's almost over, and there'll be time now. So. But yeah, that's it, right? That's all the links. Anything? Yeah, we didn't miss anything. You did a great job. Well done.
I want to know, Travis, because you ask me all the time, how are you doing?
I can't complain. I'm doing pretty good. I mean, I could complain. I just choose not to. I will abstain from the complaints. No, it's good. It's good. It's Monday. No new Rick and Morty, which is weird because we have gotten into such a pattern of having new episodes released, watching them countless times, immediately, putting our hot takes down on a Google Doc and then talking about it. We actually did not record a podcast at all last week. No Apathetic Enthusiasm, still on that back burner. So yeah, it was kind of nice. Take a week off. And then here we are, getting to share an interview that I am so excited for folks to hear, because this is one of those discussions that I don't know, I really enjoyed us having, and I don't know, I'm just gonna hype it as much as possible before we actually play it.
It's hype city. If there was a city in a comic book, then you would be the mayor of it, and it would be Hype City.
Hype City. I'm the mayor of Hype City. Get that vigilante. Anyway,
you're a crappy mayor. You're like a villain of comic books. If you're like,
absolutely.
Get that vigil.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No. I'm the mayor that like doesn't think the vigilante is following our laws, and he's actually creating more crime than he's preventing. And now all these
slam your desk every time. You're like, why hasn't he been brought to justice?
Get me pictures of that Spider-Man.
I mean, unnamed vigilante.
Anyway, let's get right into the first segment of this here podcast. Let's not waste any more time. It's now time for semi-pertinent news.
Semi-pertinent. It's semi-pertinent news coming to you today.
All right, welcome to semi-pertinent news in what is a relatively slow time for Rick and Morty news. We're really just riding that wave of waiting for the season finale on September 5th. A couple weeks away. It's, you know, we've waited longer for Rick and Morty. That's for sure. But with that said, we do have a little bit of news to share with you, and it's time to go back to a little indie video game. You may have heard of it. The game is called Fortnite. And once again, Rick and Morty are tearing it up in, I don't know. I'm not up to with Fortnite. What's happening in Fortnite? They're Morty's in Fortnite. That's the news. Morty's in Fortnite now.
Morty is in Fortnite, just as Rick was in Fortnite before him. I think one of the props is a snake from Snake Jazz episode.
It's the I've got it up on the screen. It's the astronaut snake. So he's got like the bubble. That's the pickaxe. You can get a backpack, your back bling for the Fortnite folks, which just looks like Morty's backpack. And then I can't really tell what's on the gun. I don't know if it's like some sort of, I don't know, Meeseek's gun wrap or something. But there is an emote. There's an emote that now Rick and Morty can get Swifty, and they both they kind of do it together and you know, take off your pants and your panties. It's a Mr. Meeseek's gun wrap. Okay, so there you go. Thank you, the RAR one, for shouting that out in the chat. But yeah, so. Here's the interesting thing about it, right? Is Morty is Mecha Morty in Fortnite, and there's so he's not just Morty. He's sitting in basically Snowball's mech suit. And at first I'm like, why would he be writing in an outdated reference from season 1? But then getting to thinking about it, he can't. Morty's not as tall as Rick. So how do you make that make sense in game? Obviously, you have to put Morty in a mech. I don't know. What do you think about this, Brandon?
Obviously, well, I mean, you have to put him in a mech suit. That's all you really can say about it. Because if you make him too short, it's like when you're playing GoldenEye back in the day, and people who are playing, I don't know,
what is that, Odd Job?
Odd Job, yeah. because everybody would shoot right over Oddjob, and you had to spend extra hand-eye coordination to aim down at Oddjob's head. And
on an N64 controller, that's no easy feat.
No, it's not. It is no easy feat. And that's why nobody played Jaws, because he was so big.
That's right.
But no, I mean it's cool. This won't make me go back to Fortnite.
Yeah, it's gonna keep the game relevant for a lot longer, and now all the fans are coming back to it. Obviously.
Yeah, all of them. I know. After Rick showed up, you're like, oh, I'm gonna play Fortnite all the time now.
Haven't stopped.
And now's a reason.
It's all I do now.
now you have a reason to go back. So I'm excited for you to tell us those stories about that.
About that.
Yeah. That was great. Fortnite. If you like Fortnite, go play it. Go play as Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
And
here's
make your own
the thing.
stories.
All right. I immediately forked out the money so that we could get the Rick character on my son's Fortnite account, because it's technically our Fortnite account, and so I was like, yeah, sure, we'll buy the Rick skin, no big deal. But now, like with this Morty skin, I'm like, it's just more money. I never have played a single round of Fortnite with Rick, and I don't intend to play one with Morty. So anyway, great job, Epic Games. Keep cashing in on all them properties. Let's move on to the Reddit post of the week.
Reddit post of the week. This week's Reddit post of the week is by user Techno Shadow in a post called "Calling It Now." People are going to post this in a few months with the title "IDK: Why This Was So Hated. This episode was amazing!" Exclamation point. And it is an image of Morty surrounded by his sperm. His giant
sperm boogans, whatever they're called.
His giant sperm. It has 2.8 thousand upvotes. Clearly must be a slow post of the week thing if we're only at the 2.8 thousand.
Yeah, 95% upvoted. It's hot. It's
only 95% upvoted.
Yeah, because
you've
got those haters that still hate the episode and probably downvoted it a little bit, but
that's true. There are no moderator reports on it, so people haven't reported it for anything.
That's good.
Like normally you'd find like a shit post in there, but no, not today.
Not today. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's an interesting idea. We actually talked to our guest Scott Marder about this a little bit in the interview, and I am curious how hindsight will play out with this episode. If time will heal all wounds, so to speak, and if looking ahead or in the future looking back, whether or not this episode is going to be liked more than it was initially received.
Yeah, maybe people in like 4 or 5 years will be like, Claw and Hoarder Sex Dragon episode, that was the pinnacle of the series.
That was when it really peaked, for sure. So
okay, well that is Reddit post of the week. Thank you for that. Now, when we're talking about social media, there is one more person we have to talk about. And of course, that person is Dan Harmon in his featured segment, the Dan Harmon Social Media Minute.
Dan Harmon Social Media Minute. When you only have a minute, let's get right to it. It's a Dan Harmon Social Media Minute. That's it.
Yeah. That was good. That had a good beat to it.
Thank you.
I go to a little jazz club. Go to a little jazz club with my little cat and get my little bongos.
All right, this is the episode where we just improvise music for the entire time. All right, Dan Harmon Social Media Minute. Dan Harmon is on Instagram, and this week we bring you a fun little ditty from Dan Harmon talking all about Millennial Tombstones ? The image is of a tombstone. It says Tyler, 1991 to 2021. Literally low-key buried right now is the inscription on the tombstone. And Dan Harmon writes, Millennial Tombstones seemed like a fun, easy rolling into a weekend. Playful with just a dab of non-targeted darkness. Derivative and formulaic enough that we can all participate and nobody has to worry about giving away a bit that would have gotten them a Netflix special. Millennial Tombstones. Take your mind off of a week of late-night talk show Taliban jokes. Kick up your feet. Millennial Tombstones. Easy area. The comedic equivalent of shaking your arms and legs before a theater class. I'm going to go play Half-Life Remaster Black Mesa. Pretty cool. Which he did not share any Half-Life footage on his Instagram. That's upsetting. But hey, Millennial Tombstones. Join the club.
Join the club. You know what I enjoyed about that post. Harmon is getting back into what I fell in love with him for is not community, not anything else, but his comments to people who try to be funny in responses or correct them.
Mm-hmm.
And it used to be Harmon Block 2017 or whatever.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
Back
but
when
him
he was on Dan Harmon Tweet of the Week.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Him calling out people because there's a lot of folks in there like millennials don't say low key. It's more like young people don't say that anymore.
Yeah, it's like an Xennial Gen Zer type.
Yeah, Zoomer. They're like Zoomers.
Come on.
And he's like, it's the comments like it's just a joke. Thank you for coming
dissecting it. Jeez. Anyway, that's Dan Harmon. He's on Instagram at Dan Harmon. You can follow him or don't. Just come back here every week and find out what he is posting about. That's the social media minute. Pretty quick in and out. 5-minute semi-pertinent adventure here. Not a lot going on. Brand new shows, I think, coming to Adult Swim. I think I saw an email about that, and I don't know. Did you look up this email?
No, it's not a Rick and Morty thing, so we're moving on.
All right. There's a new show. It looks pretty weird on Adult Swim. Go check it out.
Tuca and Birdie.
Season 3. On fire. All right, let's not delay any longer because this is a fantastic interview and I want you guys to hear it. So let's jump right into everyone's favorite. It's the main thing.
It's the main thing. Main thing. Main thing. Stop paying. You were looking down the entire time, and I was just waiting for you to look. I was just waiting for you to look back up from whatever notes you were taking.
Taking them notes. I got to use your time effectively.
That's when I take whenever you're talking. That's when I respond to people in chat.
Yeah. We have great communication in this show, you guys. That's why you guys love it so much. All right, everybody.
Okay.
It's the main thing, and as we have hinted several times already, very special guest this week. We were fortunate enough to sit down for a little bit with Scott Marder, who is executive producer, showrunner, runs the writer's room on the show, and really great conversation where we get to talk about a little bit about how he got started with the show, but then really jump into some specific questions about season 5. I think we touch on just about every episode that we've seen so far, and really get a little bit of perspective about what the writer's room was thinking, some of the choices and why some of the choices were made for certain stories, and just really cool to kind of get all of that perspective.
100%. We had just a little bit of time with them, and so we wanted to make sure we covered basically all the basics. Originally, when we were planning on talking to him a couple weeks back, right after episode 5 aired, And for this Saturday, the other reason we rescheduled, I'm so glad we did reschedule because it took us all the way to the Bird Person episode, Returnal Friendshine of the Spotless Mort. So we got to talk about that. We have a question per episode, essentially. Wish we could have dug in more, but him giving us the time is we can't thank him enough. But yeah, we are so excited for you to listen to this, and I think without any further ado, it's our interview with Scott Marder.
Hey, everybody. Our guest today is a veteran television writer and producer. His credits include BoJack Horseman, The Mick, and The Family Guy. He is the creator of the animated series Unsupervised and was a producer for over 100 episodes of another indie hit, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's currently the producer on another relatively unknown show we sometimes cover, Rick and Morty. A warm welcome to you, Mr. Scott Marder. Thank you so much for coming on the show. How are you?
Thank you. What a cool intro. I feel like this is your life. And here's your college roommate. Oh shit, Wojo.
Your dad is actually in the side room. He's got the soundproof earmuffs on, so
we're ready to call cash blowing around in that booth for no reason.
Yeah, it's actually a Japanese game show. We didn't tell them about it, but it's going to be a lot of fun. That was like
one of the worst images for some reason that I have stuck in my head. Do you remember that show, like Super Sweet 16 or something? It was like an old MTV show from like 20 years ago. It's like they just showed how like kids would have the most elaborate Sweet 16 parties.
Yes.
And at one of them, there was one of those booths with money blowing around, but on the booth it said "Daddy's money." And kids were just in there, just grabbing all the bills. I was like, "Wow, that's what a new low for obnoxiousness."
Yeah, that's one of those shows where I'm like, I rethink about like society and how much I want to participate in certain circles.
A bit of a cultural low. Yeah.
Well, hey man, first of all, thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. Just to be able to a chance to chat with you for a little bit. You know, we mentioned your producer roles here. You came in kind of in the middle, towards the end of season 4, if I'm right.
I did actually. Like, yes, I came in middle of season 4. We actually broke vat of acid on my first day of work, which was super cool, and I feel like showed Harmon and Royland that like this guy gets it, and like just by like however fate and everything kind of comes together, they backed off and like really let me run with things more, because that episode's the best.
Yes, absolutely. Were there any like big challenges stepping into a show as big as Rick and Morty, or what, because of your experience with other shows, did it kind of just seem a little bit more natural?
I feel like the challenge with jumping into another show whenever it's like in the middle, like certainly in the middle of a season or in the middle of its run, is like, I didn't know anyone over there. It's one of the first shows that I kind of came in blind, so I had no one I could really or would customarily lean on. But like to Harmon and Royland and like the credit of like Mike McMahon, like that staff was solid. Like those people were so strong, and just I immediately saw the assets that we had, and we all clicked really quickly. And thankfully, all that was like as smooth as I could have dreamed coming in blind. Like I glommed with people real quick. We kind of hit the ground running. It was helpful, and these things. It's helpful being a fan of the show. Like. The show got to exist long enough that even though I wasn't writing it, I've watched all those episodes hundreds of times. So I didn't really need to be in that room to have like, to be able to talk on everything. And I also brought the enthusiasm of my fandom, which kind of helped like kick the door open wide. It's been a blast. It's been such a rewarding job experience.
Is that kind of going into it as a big fan of the show? Is there that kind of weight on you? Like, okay, I
yes.
hope I'm getting
yes,
this right.
I'm very grateful that like the fact that I've got this sort of experience twice in my life, that like I came on Always Sunny in its 3rd season. They hadn't really had a formal staff yet, but that show had existed for 2 seasons. They had done like, maybe 13 episodes or something. And like, I just adored it. Like Mac Bangs Dennis's mom is like still, I think, one of the best episodes of that show. And they've done so many. But like when I saw that the first time, I watched it over and over and over again. I thought it was just the greatest thing ever. So when I got that job, that was like, I'm like, I get to write for this show. Like I felt like I won it felt like as close as I can imagine to winning the lottery. And to get to have that feeling again with Rick and Morty, like I'm just so eternally grateful, because like it's just another show that I adore so much, and I still can't believe I get to work on it. It's just a blast. But yes, you do feel that pressure. The show is so beloved and it's so great. And there's episodes of this show that are so mind splitting that you want to make sure that you can write up to that, because like I want every episode to have some of those, some of canonical ones, some of this and that. Like everyone likes different pieces of this show, you know, and you want to give them everything.
So you come into season 4, you're already a fan. You're going into season 5, and you're taking you have the reins, right? You're leading the way. Is what kind of lessons are you learning in the course of season 5 that you're starting to use into like season 6 and beyond, right? Because I'm sure you're getting into a flow, you're getting into a rhythm.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of little bits and pieces. Certainly like taking in fan feedback and kind of looking for the notes behind the notes. Like there's good stuff there, and stuff that like they'll be happy to hear, because we're towards the end of writing, season 7 right now. So like we've really gotten the show moving. But that's to say season 6 is animating, like everything's in the process. But like we ourselves, even before it aired, we're like, oh, it'd be fun to like just give things a little bit more continuity, make things feel like they're not so standalone. Which feels to me like the big note that I feel like I'm generally getting on season 5, like fun episodes, but we want to feel like A equals B, and that they're all kind of moving and relate to each other, and don't just ignore things from the past. And certainly not our goal out of the gates with season 5. And I'm so excited for people to see the finale. Without giving it away, I've been saying this for a while. We just mixed it this morning. It's just absolutely going to knock people over. I mean, they just don't know what they've got coming. I mean, I'm so excited.
That is so awesome. We've heard in the past that you're not really very active on social media. So
I'm not.
You talk about fan feedback. How are you engaging and getting the feedback on the current season? Is it sort of from other people on the staff, or just sort of around the office? How are you engaging with that?
It's hard to ignore it. I mean, like social media, like you don't have to be on it to hear it. Like it's so loud these days, you know, like certainly my staff, they're all younger. They're all mid-20s and up. They're all very tapped in. They're all on Twitter and Reddit and all that. And there's certainly, still reviewers across the board that like, it's a big enough show that we still get a lot of reviews on every episode, which is nice. It's like good or bad, it's really rewarding to do a show that just gets such a response, even controversy, I'd prefer that than just things that just disappear into the void, So we generally, I feel like I generally hear stuff through the staff. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I know the Reddit's huge, and it's like you're saying, social media. Even if you're not on social media, it permeates everything. Even if you go to CNN, there's probably an article about, "Ooh, did you see last night's Rick and Morty episode?"
Yeah.
The return of Bird Person. It's like all over everything. So yeah.
No, we were so excited to give that to people. It's really important to me to do this stuff. Like I boarded the show, and like I said, like I love all those aspects of this show. It's like, for me, this show checks like every box, getting to be like crazy, getting to be intelligent, getting to be weird. But like, I love all the threads that this show has already set up. Like all I want to do is keep paying them off, but in like a measured way. Like I don't want to run it out. I want to like, earn it and keep growing it. And we do that.
So with the fact that we've seen the majority of season 5 now, would it be all right if we ask you just a few questions that we have from specific episodes, just sort of like
Sure.
what the thought process was going into some of those?
Sure.
So the first question we have is that in most of the episodes this season, save for maybe Multiplicity, the A and B plots share sort of a thematic thread. Is that something that you guys build concurrently, or is that like something that just is a natural result out of the conversations in the writer's room? How does that sort of come together?
I'd say they are built pretty concurrently. Like I've worked on other shows where it's like, oh, we've got this like errant bee that would slot right in. Like while we do have a lot of bees that are like up on a board, they don't tend to like go in blind. Like normally these things kind of generate together. You know, the episode starts with the jumping off point and things just tend to branch. There's a lot of episodes coming down the pipe that don't even necessarily even have bees. We've been having so much fun with just the A's in themselves that they haven't left a lot of room for bees, which has been kind of neat and different.
Yeah, like Mortyplicity. I mean, it was a pretty straightforward a plot the entire time, right?
Well, I'm so proud. That's one I consider like a mind splitter. Like I'm so like proud to be able to deliver that one to crowds. Like that one for me, I just love that it's like such a cool, for me, a fresh take on like an anthology, because we can do basically sketches, but because they're all Ricks and they're all Mortys and they're all the family, we can actually carry a narrative through it, even though they're not the same people all the way through. Just felt like a cool thing that was unique to our show that we were able to kind of do both.
Yeah, watching that episode the first time, I kept like waiting for like the resolution of the duplicates thing or you know, the decoys, and then I'm like
to like stop and just like
and then like run like a standard story, and I'm like oh like this is what we're doing, like this is it, like for the episode.
You know, it felt like kind of like the Da Vinci Code. Once we felt like we're like wow, like if we felt like we can actually set up the rules in a way, then we can go nuts on the back half of this episode, because people just like can sit back knowing that they're never really going to be with the real people and really just start indulging us as we go crazy. That was a lot of fun. A fun thing about that one for us too was like, there's a lot of little bits and pieces that have just existed in just like the writing of the show the past few years that don't necessarily make it into the show. Like for instance, Mr. Always Wants to Be Hunted. And it's just fun when we're able to find room for characters like that. Like, believe it or not, Nimbus was in a completely other episode that just didn't make it to air, and we're like, this guy, I mean, I came aboard, I'm like, this guy's the greatest. Like, we need to make it our business to get this guy on the show. And like, no one everyone was like, yeah, let's priority one, let's get Rick's nemesis into the show ASAP.
Well, that's a good segue into a question we wanted to ask. We wanted to ask about Mr. Nimbus, because Nimbus in that episode talks about how far Rick has fallen, and even since season 1, he's kind of gone over to this arc. Season 3, he kind of went back to the status quo, kind of more of an asshole, and now he's kind of softening out for the most part. I think in season 5. How do you, as the writers, kind of keep giving him opportunities to grow his character? Like, how do you keep his powering and depowering kind of from alienating an audience?
It's a constant push and pull on an episode by episode basis. Because something that goes right in line with that is just the fact that he's like effectively a god in so many ways. That in so many ways, it's like, man, he could easily get us out of this jam. How do we figure out a way to get around that without? We never really want to gimp him in like a lame way. So
like a Superman way.
In the same way that we don't want to gimp him in like a Superman way, we also don't want to gimp him in an emotional way, because it's important to us that like keep Rick. So we're always trying to play that game, because like the show has got a long life ahead of it. So you don't want to just suddenly make him Mr. Rogers and not make him this unrecognizable character that we love. Like, we all love what makes Rick as well. But it's interesting just watch. It's just, from our eyes, he's just, the longer that he spends time with a family, and he isn't just this lone rogue Rick floating around the world, just through osmosis, is he just becoming a little bit more human. But we like to think he sheds that whenever he can.
In terms of his time with the family, in a Mordican Grick we love the episode titles, by the way. Rick really
we put work into it.
He has like a certain shame about blatantly using Jerry, and admits through his sincerity that he's capable of loving Jerry. Is this like a thing that we might see continue to develop? Is this sort of like a one-off, like, yeah, like he doesn't completely hate Jerry, or is this another like evidence of sort of how he's grown to appreciate the family more and more throughout the series?
I feel like he looks at Jerry the way like a god might look at an ant. Like
Okay.
like this is so lopsided, this is so unfair. Like this man's an idiot, but like I'm just gonna I think in that same way he's also got a bit of a soft spot in just how lopsided
Sure.
that is. Just like,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
and also my daughter loves this schmuck, and he seems to bring a balance. I don't see what she sees in him, but he brings some level of balance to this world. I think he's smart enough to see all that, so he just tries to stay out of Jerry's way.
It's like sometimes I see ants rolling around in my backyard, and when I was a kid, like stomp on the pile, like yeah, kicking it. Then eventually I'm like, well, that's kind of a dick move. And so now I build like little bridges for him, toss some bread to him.
That was some of the stuff we found fun in that episode with the practitioners. That like Rick felt a little bad about this setup, you know, like Jerry sort of his joke. It felt like he was sort of stepping out a little and felt a little bad that Jerry was suddenly other people's joke. It was kind of misusing his god powers a little.
Right. Like it's okay to pick on your sibling, but then if somebody else picks on your sibling, well,
Exactly.
no, now you got
this is who I beat up on. Yeah.
Right.
I had a question on Rick Convenient Mort, the Rob Schraub helmed Rick Convenient Mort, and it's kind of, I want to talk about it kind of on the A plot B plot line, because there's two different worlds. There's the Planetina stuff that's going on, and then there's the apocalypse that's happening on those other planets. You know, it's a bucket celebration of on the B plot side of the world's going to end. Let's just go ahead and have sex with everything. With that in mind, was it difficult for you guys to maintain this balance of intimate character and environmentalism kind of commentary?
It was, yeah, certainly very important to Schraub too, who's like very much like vegan and like behind all that stuff. That the fun with that one was that like both those A and Bs kind of were born together, and it was just so fun to have one that was like lovey-dovey and really able to indulge Morty, who like doesn't often get like it ended up with a broken heart, but like that was a big win for him, that episode, getting to go that far with someone, for him to really fall in love, paired with like the equivalent of like a I Hate Valentine's Day B story, and get to see Summer and Rick really be in like the gutter together, was fun for us. That was just one of those ideas that kind of came out, like, you know, every season sort of starts with blue sky where you throw everything at the wall, but just the idea of Morty falling in love with a Captain Planet type character, where you're not just dating Captain Planet, you're dating the 5 kids that control Captain Planet, was a cool idea that was hard to ignore.
Yeah, because you date and you marry into the other family,
right?
whether you like it or not.
Someone with a lot of baggage. yeah.
I really liked the aspect of Morty that we hadn't really seen before. Like, we've seen him with Jessica, we've seen him with Unnamed Girl and Vat of Acid episode. We've seen him with girls in the past, but this is like the first time we've actually had emotion with heartbreak with Morty, and so I really enjoy that aspect of it.
I appreciate that. It was important to us to actually live in that at the end, because we could have easily undercut that moment at the end and gone for a laugh, but it was kind of cool just to watch him kind of fall into his mom's arms and cry it out.
That's one of the things I love about the show, is that you guys are willing to not always have to end on that laugh, but you guys can be earnest. You can have an episode that really deals with heavier emotions, and you guys own that. And I think that's been true, since Rick was passing out in his garage after Unity.
That was like one of the first things. I love that as a fan. I was like, oh man, this is so dark.
It's one of those things that's special about this show, that I just appreciate that you guys are continuing to develop those sorts of episodes. We have this question. It's a little bit about some of the critiques out there about this season's use of sex and excessive use of sex. Was Rick Dependent Spray a preemptive answer to those criticisms, or was it was
It
that
was certainly
in
never,
mind?
that episode was certainly never never meant to be like an attack back at anything like that. From my perspective, what I love about this show is that, like, and I've probably said this before, but like I like to look at Rick and Morty as like smarts and farts, like Harmon's the smarts and Roiland's the farts. But I think that's what, like, such a cool, like, special sauce to this show, that it can like break your mind, but then also have like the silliest, like, Mr. Poopy Butthole character like in the same scene. So it was I'll be honest, it was a surprise to me that we apparently had lowered the bar on our farts in terms of people just being like, too much, too crazy, too far. Like, okay, good to know there's a line in the sand that I didn't see. I attest that I think that episode will live to win the day, because I think it's just funny and it's got a lot of jokes. But there's lessons learned by all of them. What I say to stuff like that, because that one's obviously gotten a lot of critique, is that, like, I'm not going to let such negative feedback make me pull punches and not keep trying to swing for the fences, because I want to give everyone the most organic, like, edgy sort of experimental stuff that we could do in the room. Like, you don't want the room to suddenly be gun shy and people feel like, wow, Rick and Morty really started pulling their punches.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I mean,
absolutely.
I want to keep giving everyone what we hope is the best thing they've ever seen.
Well, that brings up an excellent point about not pulling your punches. So that episode ends obviously with the premiere of our favorite new character, Incest Baby, and production wise, I think Rick Dependent Spray wasn't. That was episode 5 originally, or
they're a little bit of reshuffling, yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if I guess my first question was the later appearance of Incest Baby in the Rick Vangelion. Rick
you don't have to say all the
Gotron.
I call that one Gotron. Yeah.
Gotron. Was reshuffling to, in your mind, to get it closer or to spread them out a little bit more? Like, was there reshuffling because of those episodes, or it had nothing to do with it? That's first question.
It had nothing to do with it. It had everything to do with Gotron was just one that was in a rewrite loop that we just kept adding and playing around with it. That if it started before that one, it was just moving beyond that one because it was just still getting worked on. And then as it were to happen, like, because it suddenly moved and we had Incest Baby in our heads for that one, it suddenly felt like a rewarding thing to check in on that. I mean, we never would have guessed the feedback we were going to get on the first one, that we were like, oh dear God, we're calling this back. But I like to think that we at least brought some depth to that character and landed the plane in a way that hopefully made them as a whole rewarding. Because I love that sequence with Summer walking through everything that she did with the baby behind the scenes. Like, and Spencer killed it. Like, she delivered that monologue, which is like a page and a half, like on her first go. I know he's a controversial character. No,
it's good.
I was gonna say it's okay that it's a controversial character because there was such a short turnaround as far as like a callbacks, right? Because there used to be callbacks to season 1, 3-4 years later, and now to call something back in the same season, that's kind of a departure.
I'll say, like, feedback aside, because all this was made pre-feedback, we intentionally thought it was cool to surprise people with a callback within the same season. We're like, and keep trying to want to reinvent the wheel, where they're like, they'll never in their life see him as the cavalry in an episode 3, like 3 or 4 episodes down the line. Like, we were super excited about that. It made it a little bit more complicated. We're suddenly like, oh shit. Because I love Gotron, and the last thing I would want, I'm like, man, I don't want, like, I don't want people to knock that because they don't like this one. If we're overthinking things,
Sure.
You don't have to answer this if you don't want, but do you think, how do you think the accidental release by Amazon of that episode affected the reactions to it?
I don't know. I'd love to know your guys' feedback on it. I know I was furious about it. I mean, the only tiny upside, like, we're just, for instance, like, we release our titles and the fans pick those titles apart and try to make sense of things.
Make
and, like,
entire episodes about it.
We're really big on our security, and, like, for that to be one, like you said, we rarely call things back, and we're in our minds, we were doing a really special surprise one in the same season. For that to air first in Canada, the only upside was that people didn't understand it because they hadn't seen it. That aired in place of the first episode. So that was just a completely confusing, weird thing to them. I was bummed about it.
Yeah,
you want things to air in the order that you ideally saw them in your mind,
Sure. I think it because that character ended up being controversial. I think for some folks, the ones who spoiled themselves,
yeah.
I think they saw that and they're like, okay, I think some of them liked it more, and then spread that word a little bit to soften it out a little bit. So yeah, I don't know. I wish that I didn't lift my microphone up like that. I also wish that I could have seen in a side world where that episode didn't release, to see what that reaction would have been.
Did you watch it when it accidentally popped up the first go around?
No. I manage. I'm a mod in the subreddit, and I was like, no, I'm not taking part in that.
Yeah,
and, so
it'd be tough. I'd be tempted too. For some reason, that I sometimes blow spoilers for myself, and I'm like, why on earth did I do that? I actually want to see that movie. Why would I read that?
Which, like, for Brandon and I, he's always the one looking up spoilers, and I'm always the one avoiding them. But in this case, we were both, a united front. Like, okay, we will wait until the official air date and make sure to see it as it was intended in the proper order.
Yeah,
and I think it was great.
That reminds me of two buddies. Two buddies once got in a little fight in college, like a verbal spat, and then they were going off to. One of them was leaving to go see Sixth Sense, and as he was getting in the car, the buddy's like, "Have fun! Bruce Willis is dead," because he had seen it already.
That's criminal.
I'm like, that's one of the most dick things I can think of in my life. I'm like, that guy will never get to see that movie the way that we all got to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful. So this question Travis brought up a couple episodes back for the Rick and Morty Thanksploitation extravaganza, which feels like an old Simpsons episode title. Holiday episodes on non-holidays. How do you feel about holiday episodes on non?
I mean, look, like. This show just doesn't air on a normal schedule, so like we don't control that schedule, and we love holiday episodes, so we're not going to let the fact that we can't control the fact that it's going to air across Thanksgiving deprive us of a Thanksgiving episode. And like the concept of Morty dating a Captain Planet and effectively dating all of the ring bearers, it was just too good an idea that Rick becomes a turkey to get a turkey pardon to the president. Like, that was just, when you hear those quick little one-liners, you're like, yes, absolutely. Like, what a simple, fun idea. And like, what a fun F you to the president, who's already such a fun character that Rick's got a natural rivalry with. Like, that one was a blast. Harmon's got such a natural love for the president and his relationship to Rick and Morty and all them, that one was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Keith David always nails those things.
He's the best. I love Keith David.
Season 4 at times seemed to be a little critical of the fandom and sort of the fourth wall breaking with like the story train episodes and some of that stuff. Was that the right takeaway from those episodes, or are the things that the fans want to see maybe not always the things that they need to be seeing? How do you guys sort of process through those sorts of questions?
Do you mean like for instance,
like wanting to see evil Morty in every episode, or Yeah.
I certainly don't think that like putting him in that episode was meant to be any sort of jerky dangling of him. It was certainly not to be a mislead either. Like I think this was before I got there, but I don't want to speak out of turn, but I'm pretty sure they just they saw that episode as a fun, cool way to just go crazy, and a way that they can just throw those people in there without it having any canonical weight. And I think it seems like people thought that was a rug pull, or were bummed, or thought maybe that was all they were going to get of Evil Morty. And I could say that was never the case. I think people saw that as its own little island, and that there were always plans and ideas for bigger things beyond that.
Yeah, because I think like for us, the what we had ended up taking away from that episode specifically was, the writers, you're going to create this world, and you're going to create these stories, and we as the audience should have a little bit of we should assume a noble intent that you are going to write those interesting stories with those characters that aren't what we're expecting, but it's something that we're still going to appreciate when we actually get it.
Right.
And
I think you just articulated that really well. I think that's completely our like prime directive, to give everyone a little taste of everything, and that includes those things. Like, we're certainly not looking to just do one and dones and abandon all the things that people love. For me, the perfect season is one that's like a sampler of all of it,
like an interdimensional cables season.
Which
that would be fun.
We didn't we didn't really ask this question, but we noticed a lot of sort of one-off uses of sort of interdimensional cable bits, especially early on through the season. Is that sort of your way to just like get a few of those in without having to dedicate a whole episode to those?
We love interdimensional cable internally. And it's been in and out of seasons. So that is for sheer love of it. Like,
good.
Those are just such a fun thing to like. Morty's watching TV, great. Nintendo 69 it up. Like, let's just do something crazy. Like, what a fun offer for like a joke that could be anything, you know?
Yes. So we talked a little bit about fans and their expectations. And then the last episode that we've gotten to see sort of speaks to exactly what fans have been asking for a long time. We get to revisit Bird Person and Rick's backstory. How challenging was that for you as a team to find an interesting way to look back at their past without making like a clip show or them sort of thumbing through, doing it in a very distinctly Rick and Morty way? By
that episode was super challenging. It was super challenging in so many ways, because we really had to, like, a lot of us have timelines and maps in our head, but it really forced everyone to like put our heads together and really confirm that we agree upon points and timelines that all line up together for continuity, just as the smallest hurdle in that one. But then on top of that, like, wanting to write up to everyone's expectation of that. Like, that was a open-ended thing that we haven't gone back to since 410. So we wanted to make sure that we were able to touch on that. That's a relationship. Rick doesn't have a lot of like important relationships in his life, so it was important to hit that one. And then it was also just fun for us sci-fi wise. We always kind of want to keep reinventing the wheel and breaking it and rebuilding it. Like, how can we go through someone's mind in a way? Like the chase in Act 2 was like such a fun way to like kind of get our clips, but like have it be high octane action through that. And it was kind of fun to redefine Gear Dude's relationship with them and stuff like that.
Absolutely, we loved all of that.
It really was so great, because there have been things that have been mentioned throughout the series. The flesh curtains, which they don't name them in the actual episode.
Yeah, it was very important to us to wink at that. Like, I love squanching and all that. So you get them together, fans would be like, flesh curtains?
Yeah, and then Battle of Blood Ridge, one of the fourth episode of our podcast, we did an episode about the Battle of Blood Ridge, because it was in between season 2 and season 3. There was like a little ARG thing that talked about it. And so when they talk about it in this episode, I was like, oh, whoa, hey, that's what a callback there to bring that in.
We were excited, and we felt like something that made it feel original was that, like, we've all seen Vietnam movies and stuff like that, and war can be hell, and it felt original to us that, like, sure, Blood Ridge was probably hell in so many ways, but for Rick it was really hell because he put himself out there emotionally and got dinged by his best friend. Like, he so often steps out and really shows himself, and one of the few people he really cares about was like, no thank you, and that just happened to be at war. So when he references it, it just seems like he's talking about war, but he's actually talking about a really personal friendship thing, you know. That was a really cool thing we found in that one, I thought.
We do have one more question for you before we let you go. The season is almost done. September 5th, 1 hour. It's going to be the last 2 episodes or one giant.
It's the last
Voltron.
It's the last 2.
Okay. Is there anything that you can tell us that fans should expect or not expect to see? I know you hyped it up at the start.
Brandon always sneaks these questions in. These are
we get waterboarded every day to not give out any facts, so there's no way you could like sneak something out of me. I feel like I would just say that, like, you know, people have been clamoring for stuff all season, and they'll feel like they're gonna get stuff and then some. People are going to feel like it's been a Thanksgiving meal and they need to unbuckle their pants and pass out with football. They're going to be so rewarded with what they're about to get. They're going to be in the deepest food coma from this episode.
Awesome.
I'll turn on MST3K for a marathon after that.
That's funny.
Well,
yeah, I'm really excited. Well, thank
Scott,
you for your time, guys.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time and just giving us some more insight into the process of making this show happen. We really appreciate it.
No problem.
Yeah,
Let's
man.
do it again sometime. All right, see you guys.
Thanks.
See you, dude.
Well, there you go. There is our interview with Scott Marder. So awesome that he, would take that time to sit down and talk to us about everything that's gone into season 5, the highs and the lows. Just really cool guy.
Just really, really cool. The thing that you should grab from that interview is, yes, Scott is new. He loves the show. He is a fan like us. He wants the show to succeed. There's some little bits in there about canon, about wanting to smatter canon, do things a little bit differently. And I think a lot of fans were kind of clamoring for a little bit more serialization canon in the episodes. Based off what he says, I think that we're going to see more of that, and it's not going to take a couple different seasons in order to get those tying bits of plot and character. And I think even bigger than that is what he left us off with, which is fans are going to be full. Thanksgiving, maybe like a Christmas meal. You know, you pick your holiday where you get fat and you hate yourself the next day.
Loosen that belt either way, because it's gonna be a feast, feast for the eyes, feast for the senses, and we can't wait for the season finale. 2 episodes confirmed. Episodes 9 and 10 in the 1 hour event. It's gonna be great. I can't wait to see what we have in store, because it's the hype train is rolling now.
Yeah, it just started. When he started at the beginning of the episode being excited about it, and then I got him to talk about it just a little bit more again, and for him hinting that it's everything that fans want. I mean, let your comicbookresource.com really go. You know, let it go. Let it
fly. Yeah. So I can't wait to see the clickbait that's possible from this interview. Don't let us down, internet. Don't let us down.
Get after it. Anyways, thank you for listening. We want to say a special thank you to our friends unity out there in the world with our segment, listener suggestions and short outs. We have some new follows over on Twitch. H0SS00312, Haas 0312, and DC Inc. Maybe like DC Incorporated.
Yeah,
oh my
like-
God,
like-
is
like
is
the
that Mr.
skate shoes.
DC?
It's like the
Oh.
skate shoes, bro.
Oh,
The skate, the alt skate brand.
Oh, we got some skaters following us.
Yeah, bro. They
Oh
love
my
the
God.
Bronopsises. That's why they're here.
Yeah, right on, right on. We also have a new sub. Travis, you do the honors on this one.
Yeah, thank you so much to the RAR one, the RAWR1, for hanging out with us tonight. Subbed like right away on the stream, which was awesome. Said it's their first time here. Usually watch on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. 5 stars. Thank you so much for rating, reviewing, and subscribing over on Twitch. So thankful to everybody that follows us wherever you follow the podcast. But be like the RAR one, and do and go rate, review. If you're watching on YouTube, click the like button, subscribe, do all those things. Leave a comment. Let us know what you like about this show, especially with this interview. What was your big takeaways? Hit us up on Twitter. We love chatting about that stuff. So, yeah, maybe you'll get shorted out in the next episode, whenever that may be. We may be able to sneak another episode in before the big finale. Maybe not. Who knows? We also have another podcast, Apathetic Enthusiasm, that misses us dearly. So we'll figure out what's next. But we know for sure, September 5th, the season finale of Rick and Morty. You do not want to miss it. We will be recording the next day on the 6th on Twitch. So head over to Twitch, follow us there, and be part of that episode. Yeah, and that's it. Now it's time to just do the Twitch post show and get the heck out of here.
Now it's time to do that. Thank you everybody for listening, subscribing, watching, being a part of this fandom with us. We love you. You have a wonderful, wonderful day,
Night,
evening,
week,
month, 2-week break in between episodes
All right.
8 and 9. Okay, bye.
Bye. Super clean and professional outro. Nothing weird about it at all.
Nothing weird. Just nice and clean. An outro. Just nice,
I wish
clean
we-
outro.
Okay, bye YouTube.